Wait, no, there's nobody here. Where is everybody?
Please, sir, may I have a hat?
You are presumptuous, as you are poor and Irish. Tarnish not the majesty that is my tower of hats. Yes.
I have many hats also, but did not bring them. Why hello there, my name is Ihasnotomato, the Team Fortress 2 YouTuber you thought quit making videos but actually never did. And today we are talking about nothing. Well, not nothing exactly, but rather nobody. Not nothing and not nobody, but rather nobody in particular and not nothing. Yes, indeed, as I pretend I didn't take an enormous break from this series, we will be talking about the Classless update, or rather the first ever Classless update, as this, as you could imagine, was not the only update that didn't prominently focus on one class. And I must say, as odd as it was back then to have a major update that wasn't focused on a particular class, it's a lot better than the updateless updates that we deal with on a daily basis on this, the year of our Lord, whatever year I've released this in. Now, as we transition into day 1 of 3 of our Focusless update, I will tick the make a joke about how TF2 has no updates anymore off the checklist. On August 11th, 2009 no less, we are blessed with the first day to our 100% free update with 18 new hats! Sort of.
Throughout history, men have worn hats as a way of showing how much better they are than other men. I buy hats, a behatted man seems to say. I am better than you. In wartime, hats were a useful way of conferring rank and ensuring that casualties were confined to the lower classes. Hence the famous command of, "Don't fire until you see the tops of their heads," at the Battle of Bunker Hill by William Prescott, a general renowned for only shooting enemy combatants who were poor. During peacetime, hats have been instrumental for men to let the non-hatted know just who's wearing the hat around here. And that's the entire history of hats. The history you were spoon-fed at school, that is, in your government-run hat class. But here's a little truth bomb your teachers, pastors, and ombudsmen of your regional newspapers don't want you to know. Team Fortress now has more hats! We hope this didn't blow your mind out of the top of your head, since you'll need a place to put all these cool new hats!
Yeah, so they basically added a bunch of new hats to the game, which they sort of did. Kinda. You see, some hats are hats, while others are not. If we are talking cosmetics as a whole, there are actually 22 new items that were added. The TF team is only talking about the actual hats that were added, except that they're not, unless you count a beard as a hat. Anyway, here are the hats that they are referring to. The Bonk Helm, Ye Old Baker Boy, the Stainless Pot, the Tyrant's Helm, the Brigade Helm, oh hey, the Respectless Rubber Glove, the Glengarry Bonnet, the Scotsman's Stovepipe, the Officer's Ushanka, the Tough Guy's Toque, I think it said, the Engineer's Cap, which, I mean, yeah, that's what it is, the Texas 10-gallon, the Vintage Tyroline, the Master's Yellow Belt, the Professional's Panama, the Backbiter's Billycock, and finally, the Camera Beard, of all things. However, you may have noticed that there is actually a few more items on this page, particularly because the Scout can literally be seen with it here, and also because I literally told you that there were more. The items that aren't included in that vague 18 are Baseball Bill's Sports Shine, Texas Slim's Dome Shine, and Ritzy Rick's Hair Fixative. So yeah, because they aren't actually hats, but rather the extreme lack of hat, these hats were cheekily not included in that 18. Now, you have to understand, this was an interesting deal back then. Remember, up until now there was only 9 hats in the game, and they were super duper rare. The only way to get them was through random drops, so almost nobody had them, and that continued during this time. Yet, the TF team were bafflingly adding yet more extremely rare items on top of the already extremely rare items. It was a bit of a baffling move, but it just meant that they were only more sought after now that there was some level of choice to which item might occupy your one and only cosmetic slot. Regardless, it was still super cool to dream about though. I remember longingly staring at this page, out here begging for one to magically drop for me one day. If only. Now, one more thing before we move on. You may recall me saying that they actually added 22 items to the game, but if you were counting like a weirdo, you probably noticed I only mentioned 21 items. Maybe you even already left a comment about it. Well, believe me, I know how to count. I even checked my math over and over again for hours, and then I got my dad to help me, and we can confirm I did not make a mistake here. There is one more item that was added to this update, and we'll get to that later. But for now, yep, that's right folks, fan favorite and 12-time map award winner Arena of Blast was indeed added in this update. The map that countless players joined the game for, and arguably the best and most memorable map in the game for all, finally saw the light of day in this update. I know, it's hard to believe that such a map wasn't in the game from the very start, but hey, that's what this series is all about, baby. Cutting past the predictable jokes now, while I don't particularly remember if Off-Blast was all that fun or not, the simple fact of the matter at the end of the day is that it was yet another addition to the map pool of the abandoned game mode, Arena. I fear this won't even be the last time I'm going to have to talk about Arena mode in this series, but really there isn't much to say. I mean, the game mode is only supported by community servers now. You can't play it in any official way. It's not even in the oft overlooked alternative game mode sections. It's nothing. It's gone. It's Arena mode. And that's all I can say. Well, that last day didn't really end on a great note, so how about instead of talking about a dead game mode, we instead focus on one of the most popular game modes in the game, King of the Hill, or KOF, as it likes to be called. Indeed, folks, from the discovery of hills comes forth the addition of the fan favorite game mode, King of the Hill. Another one of those additions that is really hard to imagine what the game is like without it. But naturally, with the addition of an iconic new game mode, of course, comes an iconic new map. Which is alright, I guess. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like the map. In fact, there is only one KOF map that I legitimately dislike. It's just, I don't know, it just doesn't stand out to me as much as so many other KOF maps. It's good, just not great, to me at least. Your opinion may and probably will vary. But luckily that wasn't the only KOF map to be added in this update. Indeed, with this also came the addition of 2 new maps, and by new, I mean not new at all. Now, Sawmill is a map with 100 variations, and that's all well and good for it. Yes, well done, son, very accomplished and whatnot. But I'm more interested in our bad boy Nucleus over here. So as I said, Nucleus is a converted map, meaning it was originally something else. And if you recall back to my Sniper vs Spy update duology out now on tape for $9.99, I explained that Nucleus was originally added as an arena map. And it's interesting to think about that this one small change to allow the map in this crazy experimental new game mode that we know as is what ultimately saved it from a life of obscurity. These days, Nucleus is exclusively known as a KOF map due to arena mode's redundancy. I wouldn't be surprised if most of you didn't even know that. It's just an interesting retrospective moment to think that one of my favorite KOF maps wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for this seemingly inconspicuous footnote of a feature at the very bottom of this page, way back on August 2nd, 2009. Really makes you think, huh? And at last we arrive at day 3, which actually also doubles as the final day of the update, and the day when everything went live. Now this day is primarily composed of a deliciously hefty list of various changes, tweaks and additions, but not before giving the favorite child one more present. Indeed, what can't Sawmill do, other than all of these game modes? So yeah, CTF Sawmill was an interesting, if not slightly underwhelming last day edition. I mean, it's fine, I guess, just not as much of a bang as one might hope for. especially considering Sawmill literally just got its cough variant yesterday, but I digress. I gotta admit though, I'm not the biggest fan of this variation. It would honestly probably be my least favorite version if it wasn't for the existence of the arena variant. I just feel that the actual Intel room in question is way too cramped and ripe for camping, and really, if you manage to get past there, you're basically home free, but it is what it is. But with presumably all of the underwhelming maps out of the way, we move on to the Changelist. And I must say it does well for a spot of delightfully light reading. Regardless, I won't waste your time rattling off every single minor change here, but rather highlight a few interesting things that you may never have considered were added or changed before. And if you wish to read the full list, then go do that. I'm not your dad. So first off, you know those funny little animations that play when you lose? Well, they were added here. Yeah, just a touch of added flavor to the game, of which I really quite admired at the time. It's one of those things that I didn't even know I wanted until they added them. Which is strange because if I recall correctly, when you lost, you kind of just lost your view model and just kind of wandered around, still holding weapons, I think, unable to use them. Weird to think about, really. The addition of the fan favorite auto reload feature was added in this update, and this is an interesting one, because considering I started playing well before this update, I taught myself to reload on my own. But these days, it seems that most people play with this on at all times. And I totally get it. Last thing you want to think about is reloading when you're going gamer mode, but I just prefer to be in control of all my vital functions. Thank you. Pistols used to fire based on how fast you could click the button, which is extremely badass, but understandably had to be changed to be a fixed rate here. These old finger bones are stiffing up after 25 years of drawing after all. You know how capping the intel on CTF gives the whole team a disastrous 10 seconds of crits? Well, that was added here. Before, you got nothing, which I may or may not prefer? I don't know. It depends on if I'm winning or losing. Spies can now sap both sides of a teleporter with one sapper, and conversely, engineers can destroy a sapper on both teleporters just by saving the one, which honestly saves a heck of a lot of running around. They added the ability to peer inside the pockets of your friend's absolute dump trucks. When someone is carrying the intel, they now leave behind this sick trail. That'll cost you 3 cents in other games. When you're crit boosted, now your whole dang gun lights up like it's a gosh dang Christmas ornament. Before, they just had the sparkling effects. They added this blue team background menu, which is a good enough time to tell you that back in the day, the main menu had this as a background for a long time. The Sandman was changed a bit, one of the changes being ubercharged players can no longer be stunned, which hopefully does a bit to show you of how insane this item used to be. They also fixed one of the earliest examples of the civilian heavy, which is cute to think about retrospectively. And God dang it, I said I was presumably done with all the underwhelming maps in this update, yet almost as if I knew about this ahead of time, I'm having to write a contrived outrage at the existence of Yukon. Yes, at the very, very bottom of this page, after the change list, is Yukon. A map that exists. Which, I mean, I don't know. What do you want me to say about it? I got nothing, it's Yukon. Yukon these nuts. But that's it. That's the Classless update. The very first of its kind, in fact. And I gotta say, it was a nice one. Wasn't too bloated with anything too crazy, and wasn't too underwhelming either. Just a solid update with some solid additions. And I'm glad to say, that's all, folks, on this one. Except obviously that isn't all, folks, because as I explicitly stated earlier, there was one extra little item we still had to cover. So this is something that is sort of hard to document because everything I'm about to tell you right now has been retroactively redacted. You see, this update holds a secret. Lying just below the surface, an unexpected race of sorts was commencing. To backtrack to the Day 2 update page, if you were around during the time, you could actually click on the year 1895. Doing so would send you to this, a newspaper article announcing the discovery of hills. Now, here's where it gets a bit shaky. I'm unsure if from this point you needed to click more hidden links in the newspaper articles or if they just changed over time, but regardless, this article led to this one about the declaration of war on hills. Although with hindsight, the lines could be read between, as this could very well be teasing the very next major update, not including the Halloween update, which was promptly known as the War Update. But it doesn't end there. The newspaper after this depicts a king conquering a hill, a king of the hill, if you will. And other than the obvious relation to the game mode, I don't really know if this relates to any further teasers, but if we move one more page beyond here, we see this, a blood-splattered clipping of the invention of the robot. While humorous in its own right, no doubt, I believe that this may be one of the earliest clues to one of, if not the most teased update in all of Team Fortress 2 history. This before us could very well be the first clue to an update that would be in the works for another 3 years or so. I'll be covering more teasers like this as we progress through the updates, but for now, it's cool to think that this project may have been in the works for far longer than we thought. But, my dear sleuths, that is not all, for backtracking again to the first day's update page, by clicking on the towering pillar of hats held in high esteem by this fair gentleman, we are shown this fun little cartoon, which served as the basis for my little introductory animation, no less. But like the other page, this thread goes deeper. From here, we see a jolly bout depicting the true value of hats through a delightful betting system. Next, things get a little fuzzy. The TF2 wiki implies there was another page after this, but the link leads to nothing, and no evidence exists of the wiki page covering the update for anything that could have gone here. Regardless, what we do have is the next page, which depicts the Zephaniah Man and Sons Co. quarterly concern, of which we can, why, there appears to be a soldier down there. So what happens when we click on him? Well, ladies and gentle folks, here it is, the final page, and the final item added in this update at last. This, my friends, is the Gentleman Service Medal. This medal was awarded to the first 1 users who found this page. And that's it. I remember being really dang peeved when I found out about this. Remember, cosmetic items like this were a rare commodity, and to think I could have had one of these for myself if I had just been a wee bit more perceptive. One of the most unique and rarest items in the game, a secret prize for the eagle-eyed. But with that, my oh so charming acquaintances, we end the first ever Classless update for real this time. And as for the next update, well, it's already out. It's right here. I did them a bit out of order chronologically to get this one done for Halloween, but no, you want to know when and if the next one is coming out. Well, while I can't say for sure right now, I think, let's just say if all has gone according to plan, it may just be out sooner than you think. Not so inconspicuous wink. Anyway, I've been Ihasnotomato, sorry it's been a tick, and remember, there isn't any time left. Bye!